Joining us to talk about the business outlook for Tech Mahindra is Vineet Nayak, Vice Chairman and MD and CEO at Tech Mahindra. Very good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us. It's a pleasure to have you here. So let me start with the recent Cisco deal. Firstly, congratulations on that. And if you could just run us through, apart from the numbers which we've already heard, the rationale, the big picture on the deal. I presume it helps you sort of diversify your base in terms of clients, in terms of revenues. Is that one of the ideas behind this deal?
Well, we have been working with Cisco for a long time, and we are one of their biggest technology providers, or we help them in evolving their technology. Cisco, as you know, is, in terms of technology, a giant, and we are delighted that they have taken us as a partner. Essentially, they will provide the products, and we'll provide the solution and services which go around it, in India and all across the world, focusing to begin with on certain segments which are evolving afresh, like smart cities which are coming up in various parts of the world. We'll also work on entertainment with them and any other things which come up. So it is basically a somewhat generic agreement with certain specific focuses, and hopefully it will help us grow, and it will help Cisco meet its demand for people who can provide the solutions and build it for them to their end customers.
So the number that we heard was around 500 to 750 million over a period of 5 years. Just wondering whether this is sort of going to come towards the later half of those 5 years, or do you intend to see some of this revenue getting accrued right at the start? If you could give us a sense on whether this is going to be sort of an incremental deal which is going to pick up towards the later half of this 5-year period and beyond that, perhaps.
It is more likely to be that it's going to evolve. It is going to evolve. It's going to depend on the demand, depend on the competition, and depend on how we perform. Yes, at this point of time, we can project this number with some sense of credibility. But in reality, what will emerge, nobody can say. Hopefully, we can, and we should do better than that.
Fair enough. Sir, if I could just switch focus, talk about the overall business environment. Last quarter's results were interesting because a lot of analysts analyzed the numbers and said that they're encouraging from the viewpoint that the decline on revenues from BT has been curtailed, could turn around, and also that overall the capex in the telecom sector could pick up, and that would obviously benefit you. Just wondering, in the first couple of months of this quarter, if that sort of panned out as expected?
We are seeing heightened activity, but not quite. It's not coming up quite to the level we expected. I think there is still a lag, because between economic revival and telecom, there is always a lag of 2 to 3 quarters. So one can't quite predict when it's going to happen. We can see heightened activity, but it's not yet materializing in the kind of orders we thought it would. So that's where it is at this point of time. We are hoping this will strengthen the momentum. It will catch the momentum, and presumably it will, but possibly only in the next quarter.
So is this specific to BT and AT&T, or larger clients, or is this across the telecom vertical that you were talking about?
No, I'm talking across the telecom sector. That's what's happening.
Fair enough. So while I'm on the point of BT, and I know you've been asked this many times, but I've got to do my job and ask it one more time. There's still reports floating around that BT will sell out a part of their stake. Any updates, any talks around that, or any clarifications, sir?
No, not at this point of time. As you know, Mahindras have bought 5 or 6% of their stake, and that is where it is as you and I speak today.
And in terms of the contribution of BT to the overall revenue pie, is that more or less likely to be held steady? And I'm going to put a slightly longer time horizon over, say, the next fiscal or so, or would you like to reduce that dependence, irrespective of what happens in terms of stake transfers?
Yeah, since last 3 to 4 years, this has been our consistent area of focus, namely how do we decrease our dependency on BT, and I think we have done all right in the sense that it has come down from 85% at one point of time to 45% now. I still believe it is high, and it will be our endeavor to decrease it further as we go along. And obviously when Satyam and we merge, then as it is, it will come down.
So a couple of other questions specific to partners that I wanted to get into. The Etisalat partnership, the Vodafone partnership. Could you just give us a little bit in terms of how those are shaping up along expected lines? Any changes, any upsides, any unexpected downsides?
Well, I mean, Etisalat is doing well. We have created the system for them. They have gone on stream, and hopefully it will continue to grow. We are managing the system for them, and I think it's looking good. In Vodafone, we are in very advanced stage of negotiations for managing their systems in Australia, and that should also add to our top line and above all our credibility as being able to provide the kind of service the most sophisticated telecom companies want and require.
Alright. Sir, I just want to turn focus to Mahindra Satyam a little bit as well. Again, we've been seeing a number of reports suggesting that you may want to speed up the relisting of Mahindra Satyam in the US, and that you're in talks with some of the regulators there. Firstly, is that true? And secondly, why this urgency to relist? Do you really see a benefit out of that?
No, I mean, essentially what we have to do is we are required to bring our accounts current in terms of US GAAP. Now that we have them current in terms of Indian GAAP, it is our next step, and this is the commitment we had given to them, that we will make it current in terms of US GAAP. Obviously there are difficulties because some accounts are not available going back to 2002 in terms of US GAAP, and meeting all the parameters will be difficult, but our endeavor at the moment is, with certain qualifications, like as we did in Indian GAAP, we will make them current, and as soon as they become current, obviously we will be relisted.
This is 7 years of earnings that you have to make current, so I mean 3 months, 6 months, year, what should we sort of even look with?
Well, what we have to is go back up to a certain number of years and make it current, and what we are going to tell them is what we told the Indian GAAP folks, that there is a certain limitation because those accounts of that period are just not available, and surely we can't create accounts when the basic data is not there. However, we will be current in the current year, we will be current in the last 2 years where we can reconstruct. It's basically a question of reconstruction and the effort which is involved and the benefit it gives us. As long as I'm current now, and I'm current for the last 2 or 3 years, I think that should serve the purpose of accounting. But that's something which we will talk to SEC when we reach those obstacles.
Fair enough. So just one last question on that count. That has no bearing on the merger between Tech Mahindra and Satyam back home, because that you'd indicated you've put on hold for a little while at least. Does that situation still hold?
No, I mean, I hope that has no bearing on this. As I had said, we had said the first day we acquired, it is our intention to merge the two entities, and we intend to go ahead with that plan.
Right, so just one last question, and I come back to the big picture. I know it's a bit early to ask you for any sort of number guidance on the next year or so, but I'm just wondering in terms of the operating environment, in terms of what you're picking up from your clients across the board. Do you think the next fiscal year would see no pickup, moderate pickup, or substantial pickup in your operating environment compared to the year gone by, sir?
If you're talking of Mahindra Satyam, I would say it would be moderate, depends, moderate to good, but again how you define moderate varies from individual to individual. But I think I have always maintained, and I still maintain, that give us a runway of 3 years and you will have a company with all the all the indices which are comparable to the best in the industry, and I think we will reach that in 3 years. Next year will be one significant step forward from where we are today.
And Tech Mahindra, sir?
Tech Mahindra has always performed well, so I hope we can keep that momentum.
All right, Mr. Nair, we'll leave it at that. Pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much indeed. Very kind of you for taking the time to be with us. That's Vineet Nair of Tech Mahindra, clarifying a number of issues. The Cisco deal is the most recent trigger for Tech Mahindra, of course, but Mahindra Satyam, the news flow around that has been heavy, saying that they are in talks with the SEC to try and see how soon they can relist. As far as the merger back home is concerned, that